Good evening, everyone. Today I am going to discuss about important questions from ENT for NEET PG. The first question is lighthouse sign is seen in option A autosclerosis, mastoiditis, glomus tumor, CSOM. The correct answer is mastoiditis. Why the answer is mastoiditis? We have learned that lighthouse sign is seen in ASOM, that is acute suppurative otitis media. But here option given is mastoiditis. Why this is the answer? Because mastoiditis is the most common extracranial complication of ASOM. So the correct answer is mastoiditis. What is this lighthouse sign? This is a pulsatile mucopurulent or purulent discharge coming through a central perforation of pars tensa. This lighthouse sign suggests of a reservoir of infection in mastoid and middle ear. So this mastoiditis is a complication of ASOM. This is the lighthouse sign. The tympanic membrane has, these are the parts. This is the tympanic membrane. This is the anterior malleolar fold. This is the posterior malleolar fold. This is the handle of malleolus. This is the umbo. This is the pars flaccida. This is the pars tensa. These are the parts of tympanic membrane. So this quadrant is inferior segment. Inferior segment. In this we will find the cone of light. So the one more question will come here. Whether anterior malleolar folder is longer or posterior malleolar fold. In diagram it appears like posterior malleolar fold is longer, but the anterior malleolar fold is longer than posterior malleolar fold. This is a cone of light which is seen in anterior-inferior segment of tympanic membrane. This anterior-inferior segment of tympanic membrane has significance. That is, cone of light is seen here, and myringotomy is done here, and for grommet insertion we use this area. What is the normal color of tympanic membrane? It might be pearly gray or pearly white. Now, this lighthouse sign is seen in acute suppurative otitis media. So, in this there will be mucus production plus pus production. Whereas in serous otitis media there will be only mucus production. Most common organism causing ASOM is Streptococcus. There are 5 stages of acute suppurative otitis media. First one is stage of tubal occlusion. In this there will be occlusion of eustachian tube. Second stage is stage of pre-suppuration. This is the stage where before the collection of pus. In this we'll see a tympanic membrane in cartwheel appearance. In cartwheel appearance, the cartwheel appearance is seen in pre-suppurative stage of ASOM. The third stage is stage of suppuration. Suppuration means pus formation. In this stage, we will find lighthouse sign. Lighthouse sign is seen in suppurative stage of ASOM. The fourth stage is stage of resolution. And fifth stage is stage of complication. If there is persistence of infection, it will converted into chronic suppurative otitis media. What is the treatment of ASOM? The treatment option is antibiotics, anti-inflammatory and analgesics. And we should not insert a grommet in ASOM because it will cause a foreign body sensation. We should not insert grommet in ASOM. So if it is not subsiding by medication. The next option is myringotomy. What is meant by tomy? It's creating a hole. So the next option is myringotomy. In this, will give a circumferential incision in posterior inferior aspect of tympanic membrane. So if ASOM is not getting resolved, so next it will converted into CSOM, that is chronic suppurative otitis media. What is this chronic suppurative otitis media? In this, there will be perforation of tympanic membrane and ear discharge. There are again two types of CSOM, that is tubotympanic type. One is tubotympanic type, another one is atticoantral CSOM. This tubotympanic is safe CSOM because there will be central perforation with mild damage to ossicles, and the basic anatomy of ossicles is reserved. Here there is no impairment of ossicles. So the line of treatment for tubotympanic type is tympanoplasty. For tubotympanic, we'll do tympanoplasty. This atticoantral is unsafe CSOM. So in this, there will be foul smelling discharge and the ossicles will be eroded. The basic anatomy is distorted. There might be cholesteatoma, or here in this atticoantral there will be scanty discharge because there will be obstruction. That's why the discharge will be less. If it is involving aditus, antrum or pars flaccida, it is called atticoantral CSOM. In this, we can see foul smelling discharge or bloody discharge. Polyp may be seen. The main aim of treatment is to reduce the complications. In tubotympanic, the main aim of treatment in case of tubotympanic CSOM is to improve the hearing quality, whereas the main aim of treatment in atticoantral type of CSOM is to reduce the complications. The next question is, main treatment for laryngomalacia is steroid therapy, radiation, conservative, tracheostomy. The correct answer is conservative. What is this laryngomalacia? This is the most common congenital cause of stridor. Laryngomalacia is the most common congenital cause of stridor. So in this, there will be softening of larynx, and in this there is softening of larynx and supraglottis. It will be floppy larynx. So in laryngomalacia there will be softening of larynx. We can see the omega shaped epiglottis. In this laryngomalacia we see omega shaped epiglottis. In this laryngomalacia we find inspiratory stridor. There will be short array epiglottic folds and relaxed array epiglottic folds, and epiglottis usually falls down forming a omega shaped epiglottis. The main line of management is wait and watch. If asymptomatic, the main management is wait and watch. But majority of the cases, in 90% of the patient, resolves by 2 weeks, and almost 100% of the cases resolves by 2 years of age. If it is not improving, we can do tracheostomy. In case of severe respiratory obstruction, we can do tracheostomy. Also, in case if dyspnea is present, we can repair by supraglottoplasty. So what is this tracheostomy? The last line of management is tracheostomy. What is this tracheostomy? It is to create a airway by creating a hole in trachea. So most common site of tracheostomy is between second and third ring. because if we create tracheostomy, if you do tracheostomy above the level of second ring, there is high risk of necrosis. So the most common and best site for tracheostomy is between second and third rings. So there are about 16 to 20 cartilaginous rings in trachea, but most common we use is between second and third. Most common physiological complication of this tracheostomy is apnea. There will be CO2 washout. It causes apnea. Most common complication is hemorrhage. It will be venous more than arterial bleed. So indication of tracheostomy. Indications of tracheostomy are anything that causes obstruction above the level of trachea. So there are two methods of tracheostomy. One is by taking horizontal incision, one is by taking vertical incision. Vertical incision will take in emergency surgeries and in emergency cases because it takes less time, but the disadvantage is longer scar will be there. In horizontal incision, disease will take in elective surgeries and the scar will be good. In case after doing tracheostomy, if after some times, if there is any blockage, like if there is partial blockage, then we can do suction. If there is complete blockage, we should remove that tracheostomy tube and replace it by another one. There are again two questions will come. When we will do high level tracheostomy, when we will do low level tracheostomy. Low level tracheostomy will do in case of if we are suspecting any disseminating infection from larynx. Then in that case, we'll do low level tracheostomy, that is below this third ring. High level tracheostomy we will do in case of CA larynx, in carcinoma larynx, because we'll do high level tracheostomy because to preserve the main site of tracheostomy for permanent tracheostomy. So for this reason, we'll do tracheostomy for temporary tracheostomy in upper level, that is high level tracheostomy. The next question is, true about permanent perforation is, it is seen in ASOM, it is caused by necrotizing otitis externa, it has squamous epithelium at its edges, none of the above. True about permanent perforation. The correct answer is, it has squamous epithelium at its edges. What is this perforation? It can be traumatic perforation or it can be due to other diseases. Perforation is usually seen in CSOM. Perforation is usually seen in CSOM, not ASOM. It has squamous epithelium at edges. Normally, if there is perforation of tympanic membrane, it will heal by itself. So in case the main management of perforation is wet and wash, because it will heal by itself. But in case if the edge is covered by squamous epithelium, it hinders the spontaneous healing, so it becomes permanent perforation. So it may require surgery to repair that. Usually the management will be conservative, but in case if it become permanent, we need to do a surgery. This is the normal tympanic membrane. Here there is perforation in pars tensa. In case of tubercular otitis media, we will see a multiple perforation. We will see multiple perforation in case of TB otitis media. What are the other features of tubercular otitis media? One is multiple perforations. Second one, it is a painless condition. It is a painless condition. And we'll see a pale granulation tissue in middle ear cleft. Pale granulation tissue. And we'll see a foul smelling discharge. So these are the features of tubercular otitis media. Multiple perforations. It is a painless condition. Pale granulation tissue present in middle ear cleft, and there will be foul smelling discharge. The next question is, Middle ear is lined by following epithelium except ciliated columnar epithelium, keratinizing squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, pavement-like epithelium. The correct answer is keratinizing squamous epithelium. Middle ear is a cavity. There are different epithelia are lining the different structures. Ciliated columnar epithelium. It is found around the eustachian tube opening. Around eustachian tube opening, that is protympanum. Around the eustachian tube opening in the middle ear, it is covered by ciliated columnar epithelium. And pavement-like epithelium is seen in attic or epitympanum. Epitympanum is a part of middle ear present above the ear ossicles, above the level of ear ossicles. That is epitympanum. That is epitympanum or attic. This cuboidal epithelium is seen in other areas other than this eustachian tube and attic. This keratinizing epithelium is not seen in middle ear. If at all it is present, it is called cholesteatoma. What is cholesteatoma? It is a skin present in wrong place. Usually in middle ear, this skin is not present normally, but if it is present, it is called cholesteatoma. So, middle ear is a cavity. It is like a cubical structure. So, this is the middle ear. This is middle ear. The roof is formed by middle cranial fossa. The floor is formed by jugular bulb. This is the anterior wall. This is the posterior wall. Anterior wall is formed by infratemporal fossa. This posterior wall is formed by mastoid cavity. And the lateral wall is formed by tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane is present laterally and inner ear is present medially. So this is the cavity surrounded by all different structures. So roof is formed by middle cranial fossa, floor is formed by jugular bulb, anterior wall is formed by infratemporal fossa, posterior wall is formed by mastoid cavity, and medially by inner ear, laterally by tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane is the boundary between external ear and middle ear. So it is surrounded by all other structures. So what are these parts of middle ear? So this is epitympanum, this is mesotympanum, this is hypotympanum. In this epitympanum or attic, we'll see a pavement-like epithelium. What is protympanum? It is part of middle ear surrounding the eustachian tube opening. So tympanic membrane has 3 layers. What are the 3 layers of tympanic membrane? Outer layer is cuticular, middle layer is fibrous, and inner layer is mucus. Usually, these 3 layers are present in pars tensa, but in pars flaccida, there are only 2 layers. Fibrous layer is absent. In what all condition, we will find only 2 layers. One is in pars flaccida, another one is healed perforation. In healed tympanic membrane, we will find only 2 layers. The fibrous layer is absent. So, if keratinized squamous epithelium is present in middle ear, it is called cholesteatoma. There are again 4 types of cholesteatoma: congenital, primary, secondary, tertiary. So cholesteatoma, congenital, primary, secondary, tertiary. What is this congenital? If cholesteatoma is present in pediatric age group, it is called congenital cholesteatoma. What are the main features of congenital cholesteatoma? the one criteria, important criteria will come, that is Levinson criteria. Levinson criteria. So what are the features of this criteria? One is these features are present in congenital cholesteatoma. This is the very important question. The congenital cholesteatoma is very important topic. So what includes this criteria? First one is there will be white mass present behind the intact tympanic membrane. There will be pearly white mass present behind the intact tympanic membrane. Second one is there will be no history of ear discharge. There is no history of any otological procedure. Fourth one is there can be otitis media present. So main feature is there will be pearly white mass present behind the intact tympanic membrane, that is seen in congenital cholesteatoma. So this criteria name is Levinson criteria. So what is this primary cholesteatoma? There is no history of symptoms. In primary cholesteatoma, there is no history of symptoms. In secondary cholesteatoma, there is history of symptoms. In tertiary cholesteatoma, there is history of trauma present. So there is one pathway for complication in middle ear. There is one common pathway for complication in middle ear. What is that? There will be first mucus production. If it get infected, there will be pus production. Then it causes otitis media. Then it causes fistula. This is the common way. This is the most common pathway forming the complications. There will be first mucus production, then it will get infected to form pus production, then otitis media, then there will be formation of tract. And this pus can erode epithelium, and that can cause metaplasia, that is columnar to squamous metaplasia. So this is regarding lining epithelium and cholesteatoma. The next question is, Trotman's triangle is an approach to anterior cranial fossa, posterior cranial fossa, middle cranial fossa, none of the above. The correct answer is posterior cranial fossa. What is this Trotman's triangle? So this is the Trotman's triangle. It is bounded superiorly by superior petrosal sinus, posteriorly by sigmoid sinus, anteriorly by bony labyrinth or posterior semicircular canal. So this is the anterior border, this is the posterior border, this is superior border. This triangle, through this we can approach posterior cranial fossa. It is an triangular phase. This Trotman's triangle is a triangular area present in medial wall of mastoid antrum. It is present in medial wall of mastoid antrum. Trotman's triangle is bounded superiorly by superior petrosal sinus or dura, posteriorly by sigmoid sinus, anteriorly by bony labyrinth or posterior semicircular canal. This bone is thin, so it can lead to spread of infection from mastoid to cerebellum. So this bone is thin, it can cause infection spread to mastoid to cerebellum. So this is the Trotman's triangle. So these are the 5 important questions of ENT for NEET PG preparation. If you like this video, click like button. For further videos, you can subscribe to my channel. And if you like this video, can share and comment. Thank you.